Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is the fourth and final part of Defier. Enjoy. Needless to say, you and Dabi were homeless for about a week and a bit, both of you too afraid to even sit too close to the League hideout, lest you both be killed by one look from Shigaraki. You think he's calmed down now? You asked Dabi one night as you were wandering the streets. Unknown, Dabi replied. Suddenly, from the dark, a cloaked figure jumped you. You knew it wasn't Shigaraki, since the being was too small to be him, and there was something familiar about this person. You knew that they were an ally. Wyan! A familiar female voice said brightly as she hung from your back like a human backpack. I should have guessed it was you, bloodsucker, Dabi said from beside you, having seen it was Toga before you did. I haven't seen you around the hideout. Where have you two been? She asked, sliding off your back. We've been unfairly dismissed, you stated dramatically. Why? She asked, looking very upset. I don't know why, but Shigaraki doesn't like us at all. After all we did for him, we cling-wrapped him, made his lips glow, feet jingle. He doesn't appreciate any of our efforts, you said with a melodramatic sigh. Toga looked at Dabi for an explanation, but she didn't get much more from him. This is Wyan said. So ungrateful, he added. Wait, are you the ones who put bells in his shoes? She asked. Yes, we made them much better. Now we could hear when he was coming and be ready to praise him, he said with fake solemnity. You mean tease him? She asked with a neutral look on her face. Yep, Dabi confirmed while you snickered beside him. It took him a long time to find the bells, she admitted, and you and Dabi chuckled together. I thought it would. He's not the brightest star in the sky, you said. I understand why he won't let you back in, but he's out at the moment getting some tests done by the doctor, and I heard he wouldn't be back for another 2 weeks, she said. You looked at Dabi and he looked at you, and then you both smirked to each other. Are you thinking would I am B1? You sneered cheekily across to Dabi. I think I am B2, he replied, and then you both laughed and looked back at Toga. She just looked confused, which made it even funnier. You knew you and Dabi didn't have a lot of time to get your assets in order before you'd be banned from the place forever, so you hastily made your way back to the League hideout to first of all get your bags and clothes and other belongings together, and then once you'd sorted that out, you felt like it wouldn't be a proper farewell without one final prank, so that was the second thing to do. What if we strapped his bed to the ceiling? You asked Dabi as you packed your final lot of clothes in the bag. It'll take too long, Dabi replied, packing his sleeping gear into another bag. Nail his door closed? You offered. Dabi hummed in consideration. Nah, too bland, you said to yourself. What if we took the remote or something? Dabi offered. Oh, I've got it. What if we go and find a remote, looks like the one for the TV, and then take the actual remote and hide outside the window and keep changing the channels on him? We'll be outside so we can get a good head start on the run, and we can still see him through the window, having a meltdown when the channel keeps changing, you said back. Dabi walked over and grabbed you firmly by the chin and pressed his chapped lips to yours, approving of your prank idea with a kiss instead of words. Yes, he said after pulling back from the kiss. I feel like just saying yes would have been sufficient, but I'll take it, he said with a shrug as he walked away to keep packing. I just needed the opportunity to kiss you, he replied with a smirk. With things all packed now, you walked down to the lounge area to search for the remote. Why is it never anywhere simple? You asked as you flipped up the lounge cushions and got down on your hands and knees to check under the lounge chair. I need a drink, Dabi said as he flopped down onto the lounge. We will afterwards. Are you sitting on the remote? You asked as you got up and walked over to where he was sitting. No, I already checked here, he said, stretching out along the lounge and giving you a seductive look that begged for you to straddle him, but you fought the urge. I bet it's under you said, crossing your arms across your chest. Get up. It's not here, he replied. Get up, honey, before I force you, you threatened. Oh, this I have to see, he teased. Get me up, pumpkin. He then dared you. Without warning, you grabbed for his wrist and pulled towards you, pulling the entirety of his weight off the lounge, but now completely onto you as you fell backwards. Was this your plan? Dabi asked as he landed on top of you on the floor. Well, it wasn't initially, but in light of this new situation, I'd like to say yes, I do like how this was executed, you said with a smirk, but also fighting to speak through being winded by the heavy fall. As much as I'd like to take you right here, right now, I do believe we have a mission to complete, Dabi said as he pushed his hips down into yours. Your eyelids fluttered ever so slightly, but you maintained your composure and made a move to get him off you, but as you looked to your left to roll him that way, you suddenly saw the remote tucked under the low coffee table nearby. "I spy with my little eye," you suddenly said loudly. "Did you find it?" Dabi asked, getting off you. "Yep," you said brightly as you rolled and crawled over to it, and then dragged it out from its hiding place to wave it at him. "See, this was your plan all along. You're a clever man," Dabi teased. You smirked and got up off the floor, and he did the same. "Now, we go to stunt double," you said, walking to the door with him. It didn't take long to track down a replacement remote, and with the remote double in hand, you both went back to the hideout to cover fine details of the plan and how to execute it. It was a perfect plan, and you even set up a bell that would go off in your room every time someone came through the front door. Shigaraki wasn't the type to sneak in the back door of the place, so you figured you were pretty safe on only tapping the front door, as you had sworn all the other members to secrecy about your and Dabi's re-entry into the place, so they promised to keep their mouths shut. "You'll only have to deal with us until Shigaraki gets back, then we'll be gone," you added, telling them that you and Dabi would most likely be banned from then on and would go elsewhere. They were saddened to hear this, but also understood that if you were more into playing pranks on Shigaraki than joining the League for the reasons that the League had been put together in the first place, then so be it. It was only another few days before Shigaraki came back, but by that time you and Dabi had found yourselves a hotel room and had all your things there, so were only hanging around the hideout so you could execute your plan. It was later one evening that the bell went off in your room and you looked at Dabi and he looked at you. "Do you think it's him?" you asked him. "Could be, could not be," he replied mysteriously. Just then Toga knocked on your door and you got up to answer it. "What can I do for you, short stuff?" you asked her. "He's back," she said with a giant grin, and you looked over your shoulder to Dabi behind you on the bed and gave him a thumbs up. "It's go time, is it?" he asked, getting up. "More ways than one," he replied back with amusement. "Let's do it then," he said as he joined you at the door, and then you headed out together to the back way around the place and then around to the side of the house that had the lounge area. "I'll make sure that he goes in there and puts the TV on," Toga said as she skipped merrily off in the opposite direction. She's a good girl," you said to Dabi as you walked off together. "She's grown on me," he replied, walking calmly beside you as you exited the place and walked around the side of the building. Thankfully, apparently, there was already something that Shigaraki wanted to watch on the TV, and he was already in there looking for the fake remote. "Whoop, show's already started," you whispered to Dabi as you looked in the window. "You got the remote ready?" "I got it," he replied, pulling it out of his pocket. Shigaraki finally found the fake remote and pointed it at the TV. "Okay, now," he said lowly to Dabi, who switched the TV on from the remote in his hand. You watched as the TV burst to life, and then watched Shigaraki press buttons to search for the channel that he wanted. I don't even know what channel he wants," he said in a soft voice to Dabi. "Just press random buttons." Dabi did as instructed, and you had to bite your tongue as you saw Shigaraki getting more and more frustrated at the TV for not getting the channel that he was after. "4, damn it!" you heard him yell, and you quickly relayed the information to Dabi. "He wants 4, you said, so Dabi pressed 4. Shigaraki settled immediately once the channel had changed to the one he wanted, and he sat down on the lounge there. "Okay, he's sitting now," he said. "Good work." Dabi smirked at you, then looked up and over the edge of the sill to see what was going on. "Looks boring as hell. I want to see what's on 7, he said, changing the channel to channel 7. Shigaraki immediately jumped up, grabbing the remote and pointing it fiercely at the TV while uttering things to himself. "Yeah, nah, this is shit. I'm heading back to 4, Dabi said, flicking the channel back to channel 4. Shigaraki sat back down again with much grumbling, but was satisfied once again, until Dabi looked at you. "Do you like the number 10? he asked. "Because I do." 10? I was thinking 9's better, you replied, watching as the TV channel changed from 10 and then to 9. "Nah, 10. Dabi said again, putting the channel back to 10. Go 9, you said, so he switched to 9. All the while, Shigaraki was losing his mind trying to get the channel to stop changing all the time, aggressively pointing the fake remote at the TV, while swearing and barking orders at it. You were finding all of this very comical, and were trying your hardest not to laugh, but failing terribly as Dabi was looking in the window now too, and cackling along with you. Suddenly, Shigaraki turned around and faced you both, his piercing red eyes melting into your souls. "I should have known," he seethed darkly. "Oh, game's over," Dabi said as you both got up and started to run. Shigaraki was out the front door in a split second, and you were surprised at how fast the guy could motor. "For a guy made up of 90% hands, he can move pretty quickly," you laughed to Dabi as you ran. "Wait, he's after this," Dabi said back to you before stopping and turning around and then pegging the remote back to Shigaraki. The League leader saw the small black rectangle incoming through the night sky and put his hand up to catch it, but in his anger he accidentally caught it with all 5 fingers and disintegrated it instantly, making Dabi laugh with surprise. "Oh, that's not good. That's not good," you laughed. "That wasn't our fault, was it?" "Totally not," Dabi replied as he turned and kept sprinting together. "If I ever see either of you two again, it's on sight!" Shigaraki shouted, his threat echoing into the night. "And there you have it, folks," you laughed. "From now on, it's you and me, honey," you panted to Dabi. "That's how I like it, Pumpkin," he replied back with a smirk. Excuse my slightly sexy, raspy voice. I'm just getting over something. It added a little bit of je ne sais quoi to the... I don't even know if I said that correctly. But hopefully it added a little bit of texture to that final part of Death Defier. I'm glad you guys have been enjoying it. This has been such a fun series to write. I'll be moving on to something new and exciting next week for the one-shot. I'll see you then.